Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll begin by offering a Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Michael Romero to lead us.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first item on our agenda will be the approval of the minutes. Could I have a motion?
I'll move approval of minutes for March 19, 2019.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes pass. We're now going to have a special recognition. I'm looking forward to this. The Murray City Council Resident Service Award to Thomas Richard Henry for outstanding community service. I'm going to ask Jim Brass to present.
I'll walk down here.
I won't ask you to stand up yet, Tom, but it's a pleasure to present this, and I will read from it since I can't be trusted to remember everything Tom did. I met Tom when I got asked to speak at Eggs and Issues when I first ran for city council, and I won't say how many years ago that was now. He was there. He went on to ask me to speak at the Exchange Club, and we ended up just being friends since for many years. But let me read some of the stuff we have written down. We'll start off. Thomas Richard Henry is an embodiment of kindness, goodwill, and compassion in Murray City. His giving spirit's been observed and experienced by young and old in our community. Where a need is mentioned or noticed, Tom is there with support. He is involved, welcoming, attentive, and generous. His contributions to the success of many events is his legacy to Murray City. That, and if you'll notice how many people are here for you tonight, Tom, I think that speaks volumes. With phenomenal support and contributions to the Boys and Girls Club of Murray, Tom offered financial assistance and in-kind service in the maintenance of vehicles. This is when the club was having financial difficulties back when the economy kind of drove off a cliff in 2008. And Tom's a small business owner, so I'm sure he felt the pain of that too, and yet he stepped up for the Boys and Girls Club, and that's what Tom does. He's always insisted on the highest standards of safety and reliability for children, and so he wanted those vehicles maintained. Tom's a charter member of the Exchange Club, serving as president for 4 terms and historian since 2001. He's the guy that makes sure all the awards that the Exchange Club wins, they get. He fills out all the paperwork. He's done this for years. He's also worked tirelessly for the Haunted Woods every October. Always there every night, sets up, takes down, runs the sound system. Just very reliable. He served on the Murray Chamber Commerce Board for many years and always sponsored holes at the golf tournament. Tom was involved as a Youth Excel board member, where he sponsored and donated to many projects. And then some of his hands-on donation of time, the Burrito Project downtown, numerous blood drives. He's driven his old truck in the 4th of July parade up front where they distributed flags for the Give a Kid a Flag program. The Utah Co-op store, he supports that. Murray Senior Recreation Center, he came out. I was there that day. We broke up a bunch of cement when they redid the patio. Tom broke it up and hauled it away. Funding and gathering of backpacks, socks, school supplies for Murray Elementary kids, the VOA shelter, and also the Salvation Army kettle for Christmas. He got me out in the cold in front of a store ringing a bell. And that's the kind of guy he is. He comes to you and he asks, and you don't have the heart to turn him down. He recruited for a call-a-thon for child adoption. He regularly substituted for Murray High School mechanics teacher and taught interns in his shop. and he does free classes on how to change tires, check flats, change windshield wipers, and check your brakes. He's just there. He's been there for everybody. He doesn't make a lot of noise about this. I imagine most people were not aware of it because Tom is just very quiet and gives. It's an honor to be able to call him a friend, to be, included in his large family. And it is a great pleasure to give you this award tonight, sir. Again, it says Thomas Richard Henry, and it is the Murray Resident Service Award. There is a plaque up there. Your name will be there. We'll actually move the plaque to the new City Hall, so you will be immortalized in Murray forever.
Tom, would you say a few words? Yeah, please say a few words.
Okay. Thank you very much. This award is very special to my heart. As all of you know, no one person can do all of this. I've had many friends and mostly many people in this room who have been part of everything that I've done. Our Exchange Club has done quite a bit over the years, and I've been very proud to belong to that. Chamber of Commerce has always been really good about working with us also. So I accept this award and include everyone else, all past members, all current members. And believe it or not, the last 3 mayors and all of the city council for all that we've been able to do. And I'd like to say one more thing, is that most of the time we're here and see you people when we're upset about something and have a side we have to take. And I would like to see more people come, and know what's going on. But I want to thank you all for all the hard work that you do. We don't get a chance to say thanks very often. And I'm very proud that Jim has represented me, because I know that he will make a better decision than I would have anyway. And I'd like to say thank you. Please, all of you.
Tom, could you have your family stand?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for all that you've done for the city of Murray, Thomas. We'll now move to the next item on our agenda, the Murray City Council Employee of the Month, Joe Goodman, Water Distribution Supervisor, Danny Astle, and Brett Hales presenting.
We're excited to be able to present this Employee of the Month. This is Joe Goodman. Joe, you've been with the city almost 10 years. Yeah. About 10 years. And he used to be 5'5", and now he's, what are you?
The Great Murray Water.
Yeah, it's the Great Murray Water. Now, they don't say that. I grew up in Magna and I shrunk. But anyway, so it's our privilege to be able to present this to you. So there's a certificate, Joe. And we appreciate Danny representing you here. And we'll put your name also on there. And here's a $50 gift card for you. And we just as a council want to show our appreciation, and we are grateful for our employees and for all they do. And Joe, this time we want to recognize you, so thank you.
So I've been here over 25 years, and I haven't gained any height. I've shrunk, actually.
You're from Magna.
And I am from Magna as well. So thank you, Council, for allowing us to recognize one of our employees in Public Works, but specifically tonight in our Water Division, Water Department. So some of the things that we actually sent a thing to the council, and I'll just read that real quick and then add a couple of things. Joe takes on a tremendous amount of challenges. He is our water division distribution supervisor. So what does that mean? Well, we'll talk about some of the things that he does here, but he's responsible for a number of the more technical parts of our water system that include complicated schedules and watching out for our water sources, handling our bacteria sampling program, even our fluoride and all water quality concerns. He and his group handle all of the customer water quality concerns and most customer complaints as well. But he's responsible for completing many reports to the Department of Health, the Salt Lake County Department of Health, to the state of Utah, and to EPA. And again, he and his group are responsible for the production and the delivery of all of the water. So we're talking about 3 billion gallons of water that's delivered throughout the city, produced and delivered. So it's a big operation. But he's responsible for 19 wells, our 8 springs, 5 storage tanks, and our booster stations, and then we just added, we moved our meter readers from utility billing down to and put them under Joe, which is it's actually been really good for the meter readers and for us as a water department. He's a dedicated and loyal employee. He's often found, because I walk out of my office kind of late in the afternoon, usually when everybody else is gone, and I'll notice Joe. He's right outside my office, and I'll have to turn and say, "Joe, go home." And he says he tries to beat me out, but he doesn't. But I often find him spending the extra hours to make sure that he's ahead of things for the next day and the weeks to come. As a water supplier, we see a number of regulations. They're changing all the time. There's new requirements, but Joe takes it all in stride. He adapts and he makes the changes that are necessary so that we stay in compliance with everything. So Joe's been here, as you heard, about 10 years now, and he's one of those individuals who he's just fine just doing his job. He's not really excited about this, but we had talked him into being recognized, and I think it's a good thing, and he agreed eventually. But I'm honored to share a little bit more about him. Joe came with a tremendous amount of personal experience. He came from the construction trades, but where he ran his own business, and right off the bat, we could see his professionalism, and in every crew that we assigned him to, his crew was lifted because of his constant and work ethic that he carried with him, and it makes the job. It's always made jobs go smoother when he's around. Joe took the position of our distribution supervisor when Dave Franson left, but I do have to say that this transition happened with very little issues or problems along with it. Joe's attention to details is exceptional. As was mentioned, he's charged with a lot of critical things and sensitive things in our water system, and so we deliver water to a population of about 36,000. That's 24/7, but the rest of during the daytime, the additional thousands of people that come into the city who expect to drink water here they don't think about it, they just drink it, and Joe's responsible to make sure that continues. And again, last of all, Joe is well thought of and liked by all the employees and managers. His division manager is with us tonight, and he would echo these words. We're lucky to have him, and we appreciate all he does for the water division and for the public works. So Joe, I don't know if you have anybody with you, but go ahead and introduce them, and Want to take a minute?
I'd just want to say that it's great to be recognized. I work with a great group of people. All the employees that are underneath me, they're all do a really good job to keep us keep the water flowing. And just like to thank Danny and Corey Wells, my supervisor, get all the support I need and all the things I need, and all the way up to the Mayor Camp and the City Council for all the support that you give the Water Department, the Public Works Department, and all the departments in the city. It's great to work with all of them, and my fiance April's here supporting me, and so all the support I get at home too. So
Who have you got, Joe? Do you want to introduce your family members or your wife or
my fiance is April.
fiance? Why don't you stand up, April? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, introduce the next item on the agenda is to consider a joint resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Friday, May the 3rd, 2019 as Murray Arbor Day. Mayor Camp and Matt Erklin's presenting.
Thank you. Let me start by saying thank you to Joe and all the water department people. Without them, we wouldn't be able to keep the trees watered, and therefore Arbor Day wouldn't be as big a deal for us, right? So, this is a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Friday, May 3rd, 2019 as Murray Arbor Day. Whereas Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation and even throughout the world on April 26, 2019, as trees wherever they are planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas no exact value can be placed on a tree, as the true value is in the eyes of the beholder, as a psychological, emotional, spiritual relationship between people and trees is far-reaching and complex, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil from wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, as well as provide fun, shade, cover, and even safety for us and other living creatures. Excuse me. And whereas in preparing for the future, Murray City is committed to managing the confined spaces along streets and near buildings so we have a peaceful coexistence between trees, utilities, buildings, and people. And whereas Murray City Shade Tree and Beautification Commission has as its prime objective the beautification of our city by promoting the planting and care of trees and vegetation that will continually add beauty and value to our community, making it a more enjoyable and desirable place to work, play, and live. As a Tree City USA, now for 42 years, we are reminded that Murray City is a city without equal. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City do hereby declare Friday, May 3rd, 2019 as Murray Arbor Day, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, to plant trees that will gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations while beautifying our city, and to join with us in our annual Arbor Day celebration held this year at the Murray City Amphitheater at noon.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we adopt the joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, declaring Friday, May 3rd, 2019 as Murray Arbor Day.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
Thank you. And now I'd like to invite our city forester, Matt Erklins, to come up here. And I don't know what water he's been drinking, but he's we appreciate Matt. He's a certified tree arborist, I guess is the title. And he'll talk a little bit about our activities for Arbor Day. But I'd like to present this resolution to you, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's all yours.
just wanted to start off by thanking City Council and Mayor Camp. Oh, can you hear me? Arbor Day is coming up on May 3rd. We celebrate this every year. It's something that we do in part with the National Arbor Day program. I wanted to share a couple of fun facts that I think they're kind of fun about our Tree City USA recognition. That was founded in 1976 by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Murray City was soon after that recognized in 1977, and we were the first city in Utah to be recognized for that. Shortly after that, I like to say we paved the way for the rest of the cities to follow suit, but I think that we have currently 90 other cities here in Utah now that are Tree City USA recognized. So kind of a cool fact. So, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Okay, we'll now move to that portion of our program where we entertain citizen comments. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and when you're through, fill out the required form. Do we have anyone here that wants to share? Just come to the microphone. You got 3 minutes.
I thought there might be somebody else. First, I'll start by saying that I like trees as well. Thank you for passing that resolution for the Murray Arbor Day. I grew up.
For the minutes, could you give us your name and your city of residence?
Let me start. My name is Alexander John Teamsma. I live at 10 West Miller Street, Murray, Utah 84107. I pertain to District 1. So, as I was saying, I grew up in Santee, California, which is a suburb of San Diego. And Santee, California also has the distinction of being a Tree City USA. But when I was younger, I thought it was the only one, because how could there be more than one? But now I know that there are several, and so I'm glad that Murray City also has that distinction. So yes, hello council, thank you for your time, thank you for your service to the city. My wife, Jenny, right there, beautiful wife, and I have been operating a short-term rental out of our property through Airbnb for the past 10 months. But after the city received a complaint from one of our neighbors, we have been asked to discontinue. When first starting our Airbnb, we made our neighbors aware of our intentions and tried to find an ordinance specifically disallowing short-term rentals. Never mind that if such an ordinance were on the books, it probably was not actively enforced. We received a letter a couple of weeks ago from and later met with Mark Boren, assistant planner for Murray City. We learned that we are, in fact, in violation of Ordinance 17.78, an ordinance that permits and regulates accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and disallows short-term rentals. While speaking with Mark, it was made clear that the city does not actively enforce this ordinance. Meanwhile, at my most recent count, there are 30-plus additional Airbnb units within just 4 blocks of our own, but the city, if I understand right, will not pursue any action against the owners, operators of those units unless a complaint is filed by a private party. As with most complaints, the grievance filed against us only tells half the story. It is my belief that legislation enforced in the aforementioned manner ought to be revisited, and it is our hope, obviously, that Murray City, with the support of its citizens, revises the ordinance to formally allow short-term rentals. Until then, we will comply with the ordinance at great financial loss, and we'll have to put a number of personal plans and goals on hold. Late last year, after hearing from its citizens, the Santee City Council passed an ordinance permitting short-term rentals like our own. We look forward to speaking with all of you more with the aim of reaching a similar mutually beneficial outcome. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to our public hearing. Consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2018 to 2019 budget. Mayor Camp and Brenda Moore will be presenting. Brenda?
Yeah, Brenda will be presenting.
So as we discussed a few weeks ago, this is an amendment to our current budget in the year that we are in. I'm going to summarize because there are a lot of detailed line items on here. But the first part of this is we have received $237,000 of more revenue, some of it from the Zoo Arts and Parks, some of it is reimbursements for equipment for firefighting in California, various other grants, and we are allocating those to various areas of the city that, of the general fund, that have had unexpected expenses. There is no financial impact to the city, and we are not using reserves in any of this. The revenue coming in is offsetting the additional expenses going out. We have also received approximately $344,000 worth of grants and direct reimbursements for firefighting, which means that they are paying for all of the overtime, Social Security, and these items directly just offset the expense that caused or that was received for the grant. One thing to note is Jimmy John's Corporation has given us $6,000 for Parks and Rec to help sponsor some of their Parks and Rec programs, so keep eating those sandwiches. And as you talked about today, the Division of Forestry and Fire are helping us with some vegetation improvements on the Jordan River Parkway. They are also helping the police with overtime to police the Jordan River Parkway. So we have two separate grants in there from them. So for that, the general fund, grants received, no reserves being used. These are just offsetting direct costs that most of these grants are reimbursements. We spend the money, they give it back to us. The other item in here is to authorize the Director of Finance and Administration to transfer any amounts from the general fund to the capital projects fund at the end of the year if the general fund's fund balance will be over the allowable state 25%. This is because none of us have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly how much revenue we'll get, nor do we encourage or everybody to spend every dollar that they have been budgeted. So that will cause a surplus sometimes, and we are now authorized to move that to stay in compliance with the law. In the Capital Projects Fund, we are authorizing some money for Valley Communications, which will pay 50% of our fire station alerting system, and we are also doing some more work on the cemetery niche project. Came in a little above budget. The Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund will cover that, so we're authorizing the transfer from one fund to another. The other thing we're doing in capital projects is it was determined that the Munis billing system should be paid for by the enterprise funds, since they are the direct recipient and they will use this system. So we are putting funds back into reserves from capital projects, and then the rest of the thing is authorizing those particular enterprise funds to pay for increasing their budget for software support and maintenance, and pulling that out of either reserves or, in fact, most of them are just coming at increased revenue because we have had our increased revenue and their things will just offset the two. The other thing is putting some golf course fund. We are recognizing the greens fees that we have been paying for the software online booking system, and in the same thing we're doing the same amount for the expenses, so we know how much greens fees we're actually receiving and how much the software is actually costing us. And the library fund is just doing a little reclassification from part-time to from building maintenance to wages for some janitorial services. And that is what is on, in a nutshell, what is on this very long budget amendment.
Okay.
Any questions?
No questions for Brenda? Okay, thank you, Brenda.
You explained it very well, Brenda. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Take a motion.
Open it for public hearing. Dave, public
Yeah,
hearing.
nobody's coming forward. So we'll take it back to the council for discussion and questions.
No, I just want to say thanks to the mayor and Brenda, everyone, all of you did a great job, and we've spent, I don't know how many hours, but we've spent a long time with you and going over this, and we appreciate it.
Okay, what's that? Yeah, we did. Nobody came forward, so we brought it back to the council. So, okay. All right. Entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll move we adopt the ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2018-2019 budget.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we'll now move on to our business items. Item number 1, consider a resolution providing notice of a pending land use ordinance to amend the provisions of the city's sign code, chapter 17.48, dealing with off-premises signs relating to electronic message centers and applicable definitions. G.L. Critchfield and Melinda Greenwood and Jim McNulty presenting.
Members of the council, thank you. We spoke about this a little earlier this evening, but what we would like to do is ask the council to pass a resolution directing staff to go back to the Planning Commission and work to make amendments in our land use code that legislates electronic signs, mostly that are off premise. So the city's been working on our sign code collectively over the last year, and this is a portion that has not yet been worked on. The sign code will be coming to you in the next few weeks for approval, but in the meantime, we would like to get started on this other portion of the sign code that we haven't yet worked on. So if there's any question with that, essentially what this land use or the resolution will do will allow staff to kind of put a hold on any applications that would come in for the next 6 months, 180 days, and give us time to work out any concerns or issues with the code, get the code passed, and then any applications that come in during that holding period would be subject to the new ordinance as we approve it later on.
Okay, do we have any questions for Melinda?
No.
Any discussion?
We appreciate all you did for us in the committee of the whole, explaining that, so thank you.
Okay. We will take a motion from the council.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution providing notice of a pending land use ordinance to amend the provisions of the city's sign code, chapter 17.48, dealing with off-premises signs relating to electronic message centers and applicable definitions.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Now move to item 2, consider a resolution declaring support for the locally preferred alternative for the Mid-Valley Connection Bus Rapid Transit Project. Melinda?
Thank you again for your time. In February, we had a presentation from the UTA representatives that came in and explained the process that the UTA had recently gone through to determine a route for the bus rapid transit, otherwise known as BRT, and the Mid-Valley portion of that BRT, which would go through Taylorsville, West Valley, and then eventually into Murray City as well. So there's been a comprehensive process that's taken place over the last year or so, and that process now is culminated in the request that the UTA has to us to just show a resolution or our support by adopting a resolution that just kind of says we've seen the route that's going to come into the city, and that we support that local preferred option.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution declaring support for the locally preferred alternative for the Mid-Valley Connector Bus Rapid Transit Project.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Move to item 3 on the business agenda. Consider a resolution approving a cooperation agreement between Murray City and the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands for a grant for the removal of invasive species and habitat improvement along the Jordan River Canal. Kim Sorensen.
Thank you, Council. As we talked earlier in CLW meeting, what you're considering is for the city to enter into an agreement with the Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands for a $22,500 grant to help us assist us with cleaning up a 6-acre parcel that the city owns just north of 4500 South on the east side of the Jordan River. The grant does not require any financial match from the city. However, we are in our grant, we have proposed that we use in-kind volunteer labor and city labor to assist with that. Any questions?
Well, the invasive species, that's pretty much out of hand, right? I mean, do you think you'll be able to see through that area once you take all the invasive species out?
Yeah, we'll be able to clean the area up enough that you'll be able to see through it and eliminate. I don't know that we can eliminate all of the transient activities, but if you remember the Jordan River Parkway when the city first put that in back in the early 90s, a lot of that area was just like this, and if you look at it now, it's a huge improvement. We'll plant native trees and native plants that we'll be able to control a lot better.
Great, thanks, Kim. Anybody else?
I wanted to ask Bruce in the Committee of the Whole, he just applied for it and got it, or did he do something? How did he get the grant?
Well, it was monies that the state legislature appropriated last year for an area called the Zone, which is between 2100 South and 4500 South. And there was $75,000 appropriated to do just this, to clean up areas where there was transit activities and criminal activities because of overgrowth.
So but I mean, there's a lot of people. That's not 75,000. We were lucky to.
So we got 22,500. I think West Valley and Salt Lake County got a little bit, got the rest of it.
That's great.
So it is great.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't get that, so it's awesome that Bruce got that for us. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay. All right. Take a motion on that.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution approving a cooperation agreement between Murray City and the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands for a grant for the removal of invasive species and habitat improvement along the Jordan River Canal.
I'll second that.
Motioned and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Move to item 4 under business. Consider an ordinance amending Chapter 13.40.050D of the Murray City Municipal Code, changing fees in the Murray City Cemetery. Kim Sorensen again.
Thanks again, Council. What drove this is, as you know, we're preparing to add niche space to the cemetery, and with that, Lane Page did a survey of other cemeteries and their niche costs, and once we found out that we needed to increase our costs for several reasons to keep up with the market and then to make sure that enough revenue came in to at least cover the cost of niches, he looked at all of the fees charged by the cemetery with the mayor's office, and I'll just go through what is proposed. And we also took this to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and they gave it a unanimous approval. So there's just a few fees, and the fees that we're recommending we adjust is the disinterment prices. For standard and monument disinterment, $1,300 for resident and non-resident. Reburial to double depth, $2,000 non-resident and resident. And then niche, lettering for the niche would be $200 for non-resident and residents. Opening and closing, $100. This is for niche opening and closing. And then a niche for cremains, and this is where we have a resident and a non-resident fee. Resident would be $800 and a non-resident would be $900. And then one other change was the double depth, increasing it from $700 to $750, and this is to open and close a double depth burial plot. Any questions?
Seems like a lot of cemeteries are going to niches.
Well, they are, and for us, because we don't have any more ground that this is all we can do. And the proposal that the niche that they've selected will give us 280 niche spaces, so it should last us for quite a while.
That's great.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion we adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 1340050D of the Murray City Municipal Code, changing fees in Murray City Cemetery.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Move to item 5 under business. Consider an ordinance amending Chapter 15.24 of the Murray City Municipal Code related to the fire code. Mike Dykeman and Joey Middleman.
Thank you, Mayor Camp and members of the City Council. Thanks for taking the time to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 15.24 of the Murray City Municipal Code related to the fire code. I just wanted to provide you with a little bit of history. Over the past several years, this ordinance has become quite cluttered and confusing with detailed variances from the International Fire Code as well as the Building Code. Over time, the ordinance was well intended and appropriate, but the ordinance has become somewhat outdated and inconsistent with other codes and standards, including the International Building Code. These inconsistencies lead to confusion within the building department, project developers, and in fact, they may have been out of compliance with codes and standards adopted by the state of Utah. The proposed amendment to Chapter 15.24 of the Murray City Municipal Code is intended to eliminate inconsistency and confusion and really streamline the city ordinance. The ordinance is going from if adopted, would go from about 5 or 6 pages to 2 pages. So it's really abbreviated. Our timing with this coincides with the adoption of the International Fire Code by the Utah State Fire Prevention Board, as well as the Utah's legislature, and the most recent adoption of the fire codes and standards that accompany it go into effect July 1st. So we're really right where we need to be as far as timing. Additionally, the proposed ordinance outlines a fee schedule for permits that are commonly granted by the fire department, as well as defines violations and penalties for failure to comply with the ordinance that are in line with state law. The proposed ordinance also provides for an appeal process should there be questions or concerns or interpretations that may vary from the fire marshal's office. In summary, this is a cleanup of the city ordinance that's intended to eliminate inconsistency and confusion with the codes and standards that are adopted by the state of Utah. I'm glad to answer any questions or address any concerns that you might have at this time.
Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mike. We'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion we adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 1524 Murray City Municipal Code related to fire code.
I'll second that.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move to the last item under our business items agenda. Consider a resolution of the Murray City Municipal Council approving the selection of HBME LLC as the independent audit firm to provide auditing services and authorizing the execution of an agreement between the city and HBME LLC. Jan Lopez.
Thank you, Dave. Council members, mayor, and guests. As we discussed in the Committee of the Whole, the city recently did a request for proposals for an independent financial audit services. We received 7 proposals, and they were all judged by an audit committee based on their general experience, qualifications of staff, scope of work, references, and cost. The company that we selected is HBME, formerly Hanson, Bradshaw, Malmrose, and Erickson, and they had excellent references from 7 cities who responded. We would recommend a 3-year contract with 2-year renewal period. So I'd ask that you'd approve the resolution appointing HBME as the city's CPA firm.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion. I move that we approve the resolution of the Murray City Municipal Council approving the selection of HBME LLC as the independent audit firm to provide auditing services and authorizing the execution of an agreement between the city and HBME LLC.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move to the mayor's report and questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things this evening, and it's all parks and recreation. Just wanted to note that there last week at the Senior Recreation Center, they had their annual symposium to help seniors recognize and avoid fraud. Very good turnout, about 75 participants in that symposium, so we're very pleased with that. We have already had about, as of I believe yesterday morning, approximately 500 responses to our Parks and Recreation Master Plan survey. So there's a lot of public interest there. So we're pleased about that as well. And then just for yours and the public's information, the Park Center will be closed this Sunday for Easter. And then beginning May 1st, the Park Center will be closed every Sunday throughout the summer, the regular summer hours. So, and that's it, unless you have any questions.
Okay, no questions for the mayor. We'll stand adjourned.